normal. That's what I am at the moment. And it's a great feeling. Sleeping well at night time, and yeah, just my stomach I can't get right problem. And I not woke up, but this morning during my Get Set Up class, suddenly got this pain behind my left knee, which is when I walk, it feels like it's enormously swollen, but when you look or you feel, there's no swelling. Okay, but it feels just like and it hampers my walking ability. But anyway, that will come and go.
Yeah. And it's quite painful, is
it? When you're walking, yeah, not when I'm sitting. I don't know it's there when I'm sitting. So when I stand, yeah, as soon as I stretch my leg, then you can feel this thing like a big fat swelling on the back of my left knee. So,
when they did all of those scans, did you have any blocking of the arteries in your legs and that, or not really?
Yes, yes, I had a major, what they call a PAD, a peripheral artery blockage, on my right leg, and yeah, that's still there, and it affects my calf muscle, and when I walk again. So, but on the left leg, no, nothing. There was nothing significant on my left leg. So, but it doesn't mean that there isn't now. Yeah. So anyway, my intuition tells me it's got nothing to do with my blood. I think it's either got to do with the joints in my knees, my kneecap joints, which is most likely, or it's got to do with my nerves. So I'm just leaving it to see. It only started today, class, so I'll see what it's like, in the coming day. And
has it restricted your ability to do high kicks up above your head or anything like that at all, or you could still do those?
Yeah, I wish. Kicks anywhere, I wish. Yeah, I did. You just reminded me of something. Is yesterday I started doing some really minor exercises. Okay, and they exercises that Sue does with her 2-year-olds in Buttercup, and so it's just you count to 100, and each count you do something either with your arms or your legs. Okay, and then my sister, when I sent that to her saying, yeah, this is what I'm doing, she sent me back something for exercises for seniors while you sit. Okay. And that one, there was a lot, in fact, just about all the exercise was about, picking up your ankles, when you're flat on the floor and picking up, and then picking up your leg a little bit and waggling around. That could have been, because what I was doing there with that exercise, yeah, that's interesting, was I was obviously using little muscles in my leg that I don't use when I walk. Okay. Yeah, I think you've just solved the problem. Thank you. I think I'll rub some arnica on them. It's obviously a muscular thing. I don't think it's a nerve thing. It's a muscular thing. I don't think it's a joint thing.
Yeah.
I think it, yeah. Yes. My God, where were you when I needed you this morning? Yeah. But yeah. So tell me, why are you not, or why are you in a good mood?
Why am I in a good mood?
Yeah. Or not?
Well, there's no point being in a bad mood because it's just self-inflicted, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting. I've started reading this book. I don't know whether you can see it, maybe not.
Yes, I can. I can see it. Yeah. Paul and the Power of Grace.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fascinating because it talks about the well, it talks about grace basically, but it's obviously a study of Paul's interpretation of it. But it's absolutely fascinating. You know, like I mean, I'm literally only into the first chapter, but you know, they were talking about, you know, like lots of things when you look at particularly Bible, you know, the Bible, all of the different cultural influences and traditions at the time and that, you know. So just the idea of giving gifts, you know, like you know, like the Romans, you know, always gave gifts, but there was always an expectation that you got something back. So, you know, like almost like an indebtedness, you know, like I've given you something, so
yeah, you owe me.
Yeah, where's mine? You know. You know, and then, you know, all the other types of giving where they talk about, you know, it's sort of, I really like the language that he uses. He talks about, he says, when someone says it's an unconditional gift, he says, logic would tell you that there must have been some conditions to start with before it became unconditional. So what were those conditions?
Interesting point. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the nuances of language, isn't it? You know, like it's really quite fascinating. You know that, yeah, like what does that mean? And you know, like because Paul talks a lot about grace. Apparently, like I've only just got the summary of it, but Paul talks a lot about grace as not being unconditional, but as unconditioned.
Okay.
And the nuance is, from what I can see at this stage, and I'll be able to discuss it better next week. But the nuance is that, you know, that his view of grace, you know, from God, is God gives this to you not because you know it's undeserved. You don't deserve anything. It's not from works or anything like that. But having given you something, Paul's view is then you must act. You know, it's not just something that you just accept and then do nothing. You know, that as soon as, you know, you receive something, you know, as an act of grace, then you need to do something.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Enlarge a little bit on your take on that.
Well, I get. Well, I mean, if you look at, again, my understanding of his life, you know, like he was a persecutor, you know, murderer and all those sorts of things of early Christians, and you know, then he met Jesus, and you know, his life changed, you know, in a flash, and he saw that as an act of grace. But I think when you look at what he did, like as soon as that realization and, you know, and the receipt of that gift landed on him, he didn't just see it as a blessing. He saw it as a calling to go and do something.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and I see that. I see that, you know, that it I sort of reflect on what I consider to be, you know, gifts of grace in my life. And they tended to be, not tended, they were like turning points quite often is that, you know, like whether it was a realization or something happened or whatever. So it wasn't just like, oh, that was lovely and thanks for that. You know, you tended to do something as a result of it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And you know, in the context of God, like you can never be in debt, like God can never be in debt to you.
Yeah,
But in turn, and you think about, well, what could we possibly give to God? Well, everything that we have is from God. So what can you give back? Well, the only thing you give him back is this battered and bruised life.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like lending your car to your next door neighbour and it coming back all scratched and banged up and
Yeah, good analogy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's a fascinating topic. It's just really, yeah,
Yeah,
really got me fascinated actually.
yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know about you. I mean, like heard a million times about, you know, about grace and, you know, God's grace and all of that sort of thing, but never really thought about it. Like, well, what does that actually mean? You know, so.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
Mm. So that's my thought bubble for the next week.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Definitely, definitely. Um,
Like even your own health challenge. Like, I don't know. Do you view coming out the other side of those strokes as an act of grace? I mean, I don't know. Do you have a
well,
view about that, or?
um, well, I've got to get my head around what you're bringing up now, the word grace. But certainly, I come away with there was an absolute purpose. Okay, there was a purpose. Okay, um, and you don't necessarily have to know what the purpose is or recognize it. Okay, um, and as I said to you a moment ago, I'm standing here really feeling good, or sitting here really feeling good, and I haven't felt, you know, for about a month now. I hate this, you know. Sorry, this spam telephone calls. They and they're always, you know, either coming from Brisbane or Sydney, and it's just so frustrating.
Just block them. Do you block them?
Yeah, immediately I blocked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's a different number every time, and it's at least twice a day. Okay, and there's nothing I can do. I mean, I don't have a thing on my cell phone where I can actually kill it. I've got to let it ring to the end, you know. And then, was it yesterday? Somebody started using WhatsApp to phone spam, and then it doesn't stop ringing. I don't know what it really doesn't, and I
You
had to
wonder,
turn off.
you wonder how they got that, you know? So.
I don't know. I suppose I don't know. Don't you have your phone number on WhatsApp?
Yeah, maybe you do. I don't know. Can't
Yeah,
remember.
you do. Yeah, you do. WhatsApp is connected by phone numbers.
Mm.
Um, anyway, what were we saying before that? Rude.
Yeah, no, just the you know, that there was a purpose, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There definitely was a purpose because of the way I'm feeling now for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And whether it was to introduce me to this particular doctor and the medicine that she manufactures and distributes around the world, or you know, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm taking the drops. They're all you know 100% natural, and it's a combination of, I think it's 14 herbs.
So does she send it to you from South Africa? Does she?
My daughter does. She works with this Dr. Sakina, and she does sort of the peripheral work. Dr. Sakina is training her to be like an online nurse, to be able to do all the peripheral type stuff that just gets in her way.
Yeah.
You know, she's got something like, I don't know, I think Laura said 6,000 patients around the world.
Goodness.
And so yeah, she needs somebody. I mean, she's got a husband, and she works on a farm, and she's got a totally disabled father that she looks after. So you know, she's got her hands full. But the bottom line is, I've had a stroke, and I'm feeling a hell of a lot better. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a minor problem with very short-term memory, as I mentioned last week, but you know, it's not significant. You know, it's not because you know, basically I'm by myself. You know, 24/7, and so yeah. Anyway, changing the subject, in bed this morning, I was listening to this youngster. I'd never come across him on YouTube. He was interviewing this woman who is 102 years old, and she's still a practicing doctor.
Wow.
And she had just written a book like you and published this year. Okay. So that aside was very, very interesting, and her take on, you know, giving people advice. She gives them like 6 points of advice. But what I did, that was before I got up this morning. So once I'd finished my class this morning, I went to the AI that you use as well, the Right Cream or Cream Right. I'm never sure which way around. And I said to Right Cream, okay, give me a summary of this book. Okay, now remember, it was published, I think, in May this year. Okay. And hey presto, there was a one-page summary of the book.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. You must try it with your book on Paul, you know, and see. Then I thought, wow, okay, let me go down to, that was using, you will see on, I mean, there's so many different aspects, but there's, in Right Cream, in the main dashboard is something called chat.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I did the summary on chat. Okay. I gave the book name and the title and the author, and I said, do me a summary. Okay. And it gave me a one-pager. Then I went down to where it says write an article. Okay. Right near the bottom of the dashboard. And I put the same thing in. Okay. I didn't ask for a summary, or did I? Yeah, I did. I said, yeah, give me I put in the word detail. Give me a detailed summary of, and it gave me the equivalent when I put it out onto A4 Foolscap, copy and pasted. I mean, like 12 pages about the book.
Wow.
Okay. And I thought, you know, I don't have to buy the book. Okay. There's all it. It's just absolutely amazing. These AIs.
It's a different league, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just a different league. Yeah.
It's a different life that we're entering into. I then tested it with ChatGPT, because I still work on the free version of GPT-4. I think GPT-4, and it gave me even more of a summary. It was like a third of a page or something about the book. It was correct, okay, but it was just almost point form, and yeah. So
isn't that incredible?
It is absolutely incredible. And then what I decided to do today is, this Dr. Sakina and the tablets or the liquid that I'm taking, she's now busy with my daughter, busy creating. They've always had a website because she had a partner who then died at old age, and he was like in control or in charge of the website and the marketing, and I guess of the partnership, I don't know. But anyway, she's been redoing and calling her own website. The original one was Doctors Across Borders, and now she's calling this something else. And I took one of I wanted to write an article on hydration, okay. And I thought to myself this morning after all this happened, but why must I write it if it's already written? Okay. Let me rather just do a summary for my website and then put a link to there. So that's what I did. I asked Right Cream for a summary and I put the website in of that page, okay, and it came back with a summary, okay.
Wow.
And I just literally copied and pasted it onto my website and put a link and put her name in as well. And
that's powerful, isn't it?
It's amazing, Don. It's absolutely amazing. So I say to myself, where is this leading me? Okay, forget about the rest of the world. I don't think the rest of the world, the good, bad, and the ugly are going to go in all sorts of different directions. Okay, but where is it leading me? What can I do with this? And that's been fascinating me. Just the thought, the question to myself, has motivated me today. And I have no ideas. I really don't have any ideas. I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing and see. Oh no, that's a lie. I started with a class this afternoon, just about an hour or two before you came onto Skype. I'm just looking at what it's called. The class is called Step Back in Time. Okay. So and Get Set Up gave me a description, and they wanted me to create a class. Okay. And that's up my alley. But then I thought, wait a minute, let's get the AI to see what they come up with, and it came up with I think 18 pages of information, exactly what I asked for. Okay, so now I'm taking that. I started taking it just a few moments ago, and I started cutting it up into slides. Okay, and there's my content. There's my content for the class.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes you incredibly productive, doesn't it?
I like that word, productive. Yes. I'm only doing 10 classes a month at the moment, and it's not my choice. Okay. They say they don't have any more slots. Okay. Which, but anyway, that's. But it's leading somewhere. It's leading somewhere, and it could have something to do with that type of. Yeah. Then I actually, straight after every class, Zoom sends me a recording of the class. Okay? It doesn't come from Get Set Up. It comes from Zoom. And so I take that link into Zoom and put a small little write-up, and I put it on my website, and I put the link to Zoom on the website. Okay. So that, both my brother and my sister, who I send the links to, say, they're really enjoying the information in the class. So there's something happening there. Okay, I have no idea quite what it is and where it's going to lead to, but it's a good life.
And is Get Set Up, is it a different animal than when you left it there a while back, or is it still?
Yeah. No, it's a totally different animal. Okay. The leaders historically, there was that Indian woman and guy, and they
quite nasty people in some ways.
That they just not around anymore. Okay. I haven't asked where they are. I'm not actually interested.
No, don't blame you. No.
But there's a guy now that deals with me called Wade. He used to be a guide like myself. Okay. He still gives classes. Okay. But now he does all the answering from the guides and interaction, and you send him something, and within 24 hours he comes back with an answer, which is never historically what used to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
And you ask him, any chance of some more classes, and he comes back and he said, he's checked up. There are only so many slots allocated to live classes. Most of the classes are recorded classes that get stuck up, like I suppose YouTube or something. Okay, and a lot of my classes are on, even the same day that I'm giving a live class, there might be a recording of mine as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
They don't pay you a royalty for those recorded classes, or?
No, they don't. They do pay me for research, the equivalent of the payment of a class. Okay, so basically I get paid twice for a class. Okay, assuming it's new content, and all my classes are, even if the title and the description is identical, I put in new content. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where they're going, and I'm not sure who's in charge. I'm assuming that when I parted ways with them, they had just made an announcement that they had this enormous big partner, enormous being as in financial, okay, and the partner was one of the biggest senior organizations, dealing with seniors in America. So, and they did have some of their own minor sort of classes. So maybe they've sort of gone over there and they've amalgamated, and they're just keeping this turning over. I think that would be a good assumption on my part. Because I think they wouldn't have just left their dog, they would have left it for something better. And maybe they haven't left it. Maybe they're still there, but they're not active in it. So, I don't know. But I'm very happy with the response and the people that.
So are you getting reasonable numbers in there, or?
Well, I don't know what is reasonable numbers. I've only got Sue to compare with, okay, and we fluctuate. I get around about somewhere between 10 and 20 people attending in the class, and then they're not always the same people there. Today there was a couple of new people, and you tend to recognize them when some of them have been into your class for the last 2 years,
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah.
So, yeah, they are fluctuating, and they can watch. It's streaming somewhere. Historically, it used to be Facebook, but I don't know if it's still like that. It's just a sign comes up and says now streaming. Okay, and it doesn't happen with every class.
Yeah.
with certain classes. So I guess they stream it on Facebook. I don't think it can be anywhere else really.
Yeah, well, it's hard to know, isn't it? I mean, unless
Yeah.
it's just like a live session on YouTube or something, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
Mm.
But again, I haven't particularly bothered about trying to find out. You know, it's a bit of useless information. I mean, what do I do with the information?
Well, that's right. Yeah.
So I find the AI far more interesting.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I mean, it's got, and I encourage you to keep on pushing the boundaries with, what can it do? Because I mean, it's obviously a technology that learns. So the more you do those sort of things, the more it learns, I guess, doesn't it? So
yes, it does. It does definitely. And if I want something, let's say a paragraph of more detail, then I go to ChatGPT and I just ask them that one aspect. Give me whatever it is about that, and I put sort of like keywords in.
Have you tried it through Bing? Because apparently Bing has got that ChatGPT in it now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and yes, I have tried it. It just doesn't respond the same as ChatGPT. Okay, it's almost like a watered down version on Bing. But I think you can pay for something on Bing.
Okay.
I think there's a version that you can pay. Of course, I'm not going to pay.
Yeah.
And so yes, I have tried it, and I've tried the identical. I haven't tried today's things that I've done today, but it doesn't give you. It doesn't elaborate. It gives you your answer just like a Google does.
Yeah.
It gives you some links and some sites.
No, I must admit, I'm a fan of Write Cream. I think it's quite versatile, and it seems to me that as a subscriber too, that they're constantly expanding. That dashboard's just so big now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You've got to search for what you're looking for.
Yeah. And so many options, and I mean, I haven't even. I mean, I've used like 2 or 3 options maybe, but yes, there's so many options there, and you just think, wow, like like voiceovers and creating diagrams and all sorts of stuff, So
yeah, I've tested a good few of them. I like the diagrams, okay, and they well, I've got no use for them at the moment, okay. So they weren't too bad, but it also is as good as what you give it.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to basically teach it, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it has the potential to really excel, because if you can educate it in a particular area, then it'll just make you so much more productive. It'll just, like you could have achieved the same outcome, but it might have taken you, 1 or 2 days after all the research and writing to do it. Whereas it's giving it back to you literally within minutes, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. And with the image, the testing I did, because I thought, well, can I use the images on my slides for the classes, and it's just at this stage you still get a better image when you Google it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's just so many images out there, and but I will go back. You've just reminded me, so I will go back and actually test it again, because I'm sure it's growing. And once it knows, if I'm dealing with like a subject like space, which is one of my favorite classes, exploring space, then I don't mind it. Sort of creating a cartoon type image. Because a lot of it is still speculation, and imagination. So yeah, I'll check that one out as well.
No, it sounds good.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about it too is that it's not like learning a new program or anything, is it? It's just like It's just like having a conversation. Isn't it?
Absolutely, what a pleasure.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing is having a conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the classes I've got to do for Get Set Up is AI and photography.
Oh, okay.
And so I was doing some looking at, and I thought, God, you've so much you've got to learn. You've got to learn this software, and you've got to learn, like Photoshop or something like that. You've got,
Yeah.
I mean, that's beyond me, and unless I can apply myself. Why? I'd rather find the AI type way to produce what I was going to look for.
But isn't it interesting though that there's more and more programs that you would traditionally use, like if it's like a photo editor or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're now embedding AI into it, specialist AI into it. So it's just like, the rate of change is just mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. From what I gather from the Photoshop, yes, AI is into it, definitely, but it's not there as a chat, as a interaction. It's there behind the scenes as a tool.
Yeah.
So once you are pressing the right buttons and taking the right photographs and so on, so if you want to lighten the picture or something, then the AI behind the scenes will do that. Okay. And so yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder where it's going, isn't it? It'll just be a case of there'll be more and more devices and so on where you just literally just ask it, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's also, and I was watching a video this morning as well. It's Elon Musk has warned us for a long time now about the dangers. Okay. And he uses it excessively. Okay. And but he's very aware, and he's getting people together to sort of agree with him. But you can never get the bad guys together. He said it's heading in exponential speed towards where AI, won't be happy with humans. Okay. And the input because of the self-learning and so on. And said, where is that going to lead to? Okay. They can access all the nuclear codes and things. They could decide, well, let's explode all the nuclear arsenals around the world, and for what reason? It's because he was badly programmed. Okay. Or he was programmed with a negative intent.
Because I think there's a fairly strong view these days too that even alien intelligence, in terms of how it has been interacting on the planet, there's this line of thought that a lot of that is an AI, isn't it? That has come, from some other place.
Yeah.
So that, I suppose it makes sense when you think about the enormous distances and so on, but, it's easier to send an AI than it is to, travel distances which would take you many, many lifetimes to do, so.
Yeah, and unless, it's merely a dimension thing.
Yeah, true.
And so, yeah, definitely. I think, and there are lots of theories about, this whole Earth is a sort of a cooking pot for experimentation.
Yeah.
And so, as humans, our DNA has been limited, and our ability to go beyond a certain point is totally limited. Okay, according to theories and speculations that you get, and
well, I think that they just say, don't they, that science just says that the human brain can't really get bigger because it would just consume too much energy. Like you wouldn't be able to sustain it. So,
yeah. It's interesting talking about the brain. It's mostly water. And I think we still got to find a lot about water.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's why this Dr. Sakina, I don't know, I'm assuming that as part of the structure is to make sure that you are drinking only, water and not flavored water of any description. Be it, tea and coffee dehydrate you. So straight water and, somehow filtered, and to have enough of it, because your total body is 70% water. So, and I think that's something that generally, changing the subject to health is a problem with humans. And it can affect their mental abilities and their moods.
Especially modern humans, isn't it? Because of climate-controlled areas and convenience food, which is not rich in water, like vegetables and raw foods and that sort of thing. So
yeah, that's another side of it. Yeah, absolutely. But you can't hydrate by eating fresh vegetables. You get the nutrients, particularly the vitamins B and C, but and others things, minerals as well. But just drinking straight water and getting it into your system is something that a lot of people don't do. And I've gone back to doing it. I also stopped it because I always, felt like something to drink. I used to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a cup of herbal tea or something, not knowing that actually doesn't hydrate you. So also back for the last 4 weeks, I've been going back to actually putting my alarm on every hour. So I then have a glass of water every hour, filtered water.
Isn't that interesting that just because you're drinking lots of fluids doesn't mean you're hydrating?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was like an eye-opener again. Historically, a long time ago, I used to know that. But it's just now with my current reading and my health, it's come again from really reputable sources and generally science everywhere, quite honestly. So,
yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, let's. I'm busy crossing my legs here, dying to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
So
good.
Maybe
good time to end.
I think it's a good time to end. Yeah. Now don't forget, put that book title and author into your cream.
I will. I'll try that.
Yeah. And see it and do it under the article because or the chat, both of them. Do it under both of them. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Okay. No worries. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
You too. Bye.